This episode is brought to you by DistroKid.
When you think about businesses that are selling through the roof, like Aloe or Allbirds, sure, you think about a great product, a cool brand, and great marketing. But an often overlooked secret is actually the businesses behind the business, making selling, and for shoppers, buying, simple. For millions of businesses, that business is Shopify. Nobody does online business better than Shopify. It's home of Shop Pay, the #1 checkout in the world. You can use it to boost conversions up to 50%, meaning way less carts going abandoned and way more sales going through to checkout. Sign up for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/income, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/income to upgrade your selling today. That's shopify.com/income.
Just let go of control. It is a universal theme.
Hey everybody, Chris DeMakes, a podcast producer, Chris Fafalius here once again to give you all a little context for our Throwback Thursday episode. This week, we're taking it back to August of 2023 when Andrew Dost sat in to discuss the writing and recording of one of the biggest songs of the 2010s, or teens, I guess? What do you call the decade from 2010 to 2019? At this point, we need a good name for it. I guess it's the 2010s. Anyway, that song is Fun's We Are Young. So before we get into the episode, I wanted to take you back to St. Patrick's Day of 2012 when We Are Young began its epic 8-week run at #1 on the Hot 100. That's crazy. So around that time, Putin had just won the Russian presidential election amid allegations of voter fraud. Bruce Springsteen had just released his 17th album, Wrecking Ball, and The Hunger Games had just hit theaters. And what were the songs sitting below We Are Young on the charts around this time? Kelly Clarkson's Stronger, Adele's Set Fire to the Rain, Starships by Nicki Minaj, Somebody That I Used to Know from Gautier featuring Kimbra, that was a huge one, We Found Love from Rihanna and Calvin Harris, The Motto from Drake, Party Rock Anthem from LMFAO, Moves Like Jagger from Maroon 5. I mean, all of these are huge songs, and We Are Young was bigger than all of them. And as you'll hear in this episode, Andrew couldn't be more humble and down to earth about the whole thing. He's so good and he's so cool. And if you haven't checked out his newest project, Metal Bubble Trio, go listen to the album Cucumber that's out right now. It's awesome. All right, everybody, I won't take up any more of your time. From exactly 2 years ago, August 21st of 2023, this is episode 169 of Chris DeMakes a Podcast. Andrew Dost discusses Fun's We Are Young.
Hey everyone, today's guest is Andrew Dost, pianist, vocalist, and multi-instrumentalist for the New York City pop rock band Fun. Together, we dive in headfirst and dissect the writing, recording, and inspiration behind the smash hit single, We Are Young, taken from their 2012 album, Some Nights. Fun have the dubious honor of having the biggest song to date to be broke down and analyzed here on Chris DeMakes a Podcast. This song was massive. Andrew was so kind as to send some initial working demos of We Are Young that he shared with us here. To see the seeds of a song planted and come to life through demos is always so cool. I told Andrew that this track, to me, is like a grandiose 11-minute rock opera, somehow condensed down to 4 minutes and 10 seconds of amazing pop pleasure. This song is hook after hook. Producer Jeff Basker brought the song to life with the rest of the band, his enthusiasm and passion guiding the way throughout the whole process. And who knew the guys in Fun chowed down on Brussels sprouts in the studio to give them that extra bit of creative flow? I certainly didn't. For all this and a lot of fun, don't touch that dial.
Hey, hey, have you heard? Chris DeMakes a Podcast. Hey, hey, have you heard? Chris DeMakes a Podcast. Hey, hey, have you heard? Chris DeMakes a Podcast. Hey, hey, have you heard? Chris DeMakes a Podcast.
Andrew, How you doing?
I'm doing really well, thanks. How are you?
I'm doing great. We were joking before we started recording a little bit that I feel like I just saw you, and in fact, I did. Less than Jake played St. Andrew's Hall in Detroit a couple weeks ago, and you graced me with your presence. It was a real pleasure to. I know we probably met in the past somewhere, on tour, Warped Tour somewhere, but actually, shaking your hand and meeting you, I think that was my first memory of it. So awesome to meet you.
Yeah, it was so good. We had met in Europe on the bus because I'm friends with Vinny and friends with JR, and so we had met but it was brief, but that was my only other real encounter personally, other than years and years of listening to your music. And I don't know how much you like to get into your own work on this podcast, but I've got some questions and things, some agendas of my own here.
Well, I love that. And, you never know. People like to pop into shows and say hello. I know you came out to talk to JR, our sax player in Detroit the other night. But when I met you, I had just kind of innocently said to you, like, hey, man, great to, see you. You taking off? You're going to be here after this? You're like, dude, I'm staying for the show. It's the Hello Rockview show. And that meant a lot to me. So thank you.
Oh, man. It's one of my favorite all-time records. And yeah, hearing History of a Boring Town was my first experience with Less Than Jake, and it just, it changed my life. It changed the trajectory of my life. It made me want to really get serious about playing music. So, thank you for that. It just is a monumental record to me.
That is that means the world to me. Thank you for the kind words. And your career. Let's talk about that a little bit. This band Fun. I don't know. I'm sure people have said this to you. Like, would you call it a super group? What do you call it? It's just, to me, it was a couple friends coming together. And the minute that I heard the band, I was like, wow. You really do have your own sound. The band, nothing sounds like it to me. And yeah, you can say, oh, the vocals sound like Queen. This sounds like, yeah. You can hear those influences, but man, what a unique band.
Oh, thanks so much. Yeah, I think it worked out really well. Just the things that we all bring to the table in terms of our skill sets and what we wanted the band to be and what we all listened to. And it just really, for lack of a better word, it was just a lot of fun. Like, we really had a good time making music together.
Right. And this particular song, We Are Young, do you remember how it initially came together, the seeds? Because I know you sent me, you shared with us some really, really cool stuff. The opening tom beat, that demo that you had sent me. And then I heard some of the vocals from I think it was the second demo you sent, like the part like tonight, like the the vocal fluctuations, they were already there on that first demo. That was so cool.
Yeah, so Nate, like in the demo that you're referring to, is just kind of like mumbling the melody.
Yeah.
But before that we were messing around in the studio in upstate New York, and I really wanted to write a song kind of like there was a Modest Mouse song. I can't remember the name of it, but it's on, Good News for People Who Love Bad News. And I just had this kind of thought, like, it's time for us to make a song that's that good. And like, I'm going to kind of do that. So you can hear that a little bit in the demo with the that, plus being super inspired by My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy by Kanye and that song Runaway. It pretty much is a ripoff of Runaway that I made and then sent to Nate, and then he came back to me and was like, okay, it's good. I've got an idea for how the melody's going to work, but it needs to really slow down into the chorus. The chorus can't be that fast. So it needs to really open up in the chorus. And then so we started kind of playing with that. So if by the time the bar closes, and then so that like pre-chorus beat kind of takes a minute to get into the chorus, and then the chorus is a full-on shutdown. So yeah, I mean, I guess I remember all of it pretty well. I remember the process pretty well because it was fun. It was fun for us to kind of like crack the puzzle of like the tempo map and the feel of how it ought to open up and all that stuff.
This song almost shouldn't work. It is one of the strangest arrangements. Parts come in that never happen again. I kind of equate this song. I'll use the Queen example. It's like a Bohemian Rhapsody, and like some grandiose opus, like 10, 11 minutes that you were able to condense into a 4-minute pop song. It goes through these little different, almost operatic changes. When you get to that bridge part, it's like, what is happening now? And as you said, the tempo map, the tempo changes in the song, it's just really interesting. And then the coda at the end is just goosebumps for days. And all you want to do is rewind the track and hear it again.
Man, that is so kind of you. Yeah, it just, I mean, we're huge Queen fans, which I think anybody that has heard our band probably can tell. And then also like Beach Boys, like you can hear that in some of the backing vocals. And like you mentioned, like things coming in just once or twice. Like that's one of my favorite things on like Pet Sounds, for example. You just hear like a ukulele hit once. And and it's just like, what? Why? But I've always loved that. Like you don't need it more than once. Just give us a taste.
Well, I'm not the only one that thinks this is a unique and amazing song. I mean, this song is still moving. If you just the YouTube plays alone, the views are at over 1 billion. I can't comprehend 1 billion. The only time I ever saw 1 billion in my life is when McDonald's used to put on the sign how many hamburgers they sold. You can't comprehend 1 billion. Congratulations. And I still hear the song everywhere I go. It's in malls. It's just part of, it got into TV shows like Glee and different things. It transcended anything and probably you ever thought we'd ever be able to do in a band, right?
Oh, for sure. It was just shocking to me. Like I always kind of thought like I'll be like making like little weirdo indie songs, and that's cool. Like I love that. I love like the people that listen to our music and the people that found our band. And then suddenly it was this leap into a world where it was just like very, very foreign to us.
Well, and this song, it's not some down-tuned like modern sound. It is a modern sound, but the 50s progression in here, it's the old 1-6-4-5, that thing. Ed Sheeran harnesses that very well. He'll take old stuff and make it sound new. And this song has that. I can sing some of these 50s standards over this song, but
sure.
You wouldn't hear it if you didn't sit down with a guitar and comb through it like it. I'm like, wow, the basis of this song is just old rock and roll, but all the elements and production that you guys did to it, and the fact that it's 10 years old now, 11 years old, it still sounds as current today as anything on the radio.
Well, thank you. I mean, I think we can give our producer Jeff Basker a lot of credit for that. He introduced us to the Moog Voyager, which provides the low end, provides the basically what I consider to be like the heart of the song. It just, once that hits in the chorus,
right.
you can feel it. And that beat, that big, long snare, that was Jeff,
right.
So he's really good. And throughout the album that we made with him, he was really good about finding different ways to kind of modernize and refresh the ideas we had and kind of make them more universal, more palatable, more unique. He's just a very, very skilled producer for sure.
I feel like all the pieces of the puzzle were there on this. I had read somewhere that he drove himself crazy mixing this song for like 2 weeks because he wanted it to be just right because, it's such a grand song. But I feel like it was everybody here. You almost wonder, what if you went with another great producer? Would it have come out like this?
Funny you mentioned that because we had another producer come out while we were working in upstate New York writing in the sessions that spawned. We rented a studio and slept there, and out of that came Carry On, Some Nights, the beginnings of a few more songs. But we had a producer come out there. He even stayed with us. We made Brussels sprouts together, and we had like a little like retreat, and it was really fun. We really got along well. It was Dennis Herring, who we're huge fans of. He had just come off making the Waves record, King of the Beach, which I was obsessed with.
Let the sun from my eyes, let it burn my back, let it burn through my thighs, up to wide open.
He had great ideas, especially with Carry On. We kind of made a demo that was relatively well fleshed out. And it just didn't work for one reason or another. We just couldn't kind of come to an agreement on whether it was money or schedule. I don't remember. But it didn't work with Dennis. And we kind of thought like, well, let's shoot for the moon here in terms of like, we love Drake, we love Kanye, we love, just generally this like futurism that Jeff is bringing into the world. So like, let's try to work with Jeff. And I think he ended up liking the songs, and it ended up working out.
Yeah, no, this track, Some Nights, that's another one. Just the vocals on that, that song's just absolutely beautiful. But this track, again, when you were putting it together, okay, and I asked this a lot in the show, you're into the album, you got 7-8 songs cooking. Where did this one sit for you? What'd you think?
I think we knew relatively early on. Yeah, it came about, maybe 6 or 7 songs in, and I think we were kind of like, that's the one. That'll do. But I kind of have felt that way about every song that I've ever done, and maybe that's ego and maybe that's misplaced, but I do think it's kind of like, well, I've also like thrown away a lot of stuff that I just didn't want to even finish. And so generally when I finish something, or when we finish something as a band, we kind of thought like, cool, that one's good. And then with this one, the difference, I guess, was that when we played it for people, they were like, whoa, like, can I get a copy of that? Can you send me that demo? Can I hear, like, I want to hear more of that. And usually when I send people stuff, they're like, cool, that's good. You did, all right, cool. And then with this one, it was
good
like,
job.
Can I give me that, please? And so that was kind of our clue that it was like, oh, this is working pretty well.
That's really interesting. Well, you mentioned that Jeff, the producer, that he, making those blown out snare sounds, were those samples, or did he create all those?
Well, this is a little trade secret that I don't know if anybody has publicly talked about. So it started as a sample. It started as a sample of Microphone Fiend by Eric B. and Rakim. And so if you listen to that, you can hear it towards the end. It is that snare, it is that kick, and it's huge.
The microphone fiend, the microphone fiend, the microphone fiend.
But they wanted to charge us to use it, of course, as samples. That's how they work.
Sure.
And we didn't have any money, so we replaced it. We recreated it. So I mean, it sounds pretty darn close, but it is a recreation of that initial idea of being a sample. But it's original.
That is so cool. So you heard something you loved, you're like, we're not going to pay a licensing fee, but we could emulate that. We can get it close, and I don't think you could have got it any better.
Yeah, I mean, I wish we could have used the original, just because how cool is that to sample Eric B. and Rakim? I mean, I love it. And we did that a couple times on the record where it was like, I wish we could use that, but we just can't afford it. So let's figure out how else to do it, which maybe provoked some I don't know if innovation is the right word, but it made us work a little harder, which I think usually, you give yourself a boundary or a parameter, and it makes you get creative within that. So I think it worked.
Right. And for everyone listening, you put out a record before Some Nights that it sold modestly, but, you guys were still kind of trying to figure this whole thing out. So coming into this, you were just still writing songs, and you were excited about them. You're writing these new songs, they're exciting. I don't think there's any ego there. And then what happens to your band when this song hits? It's just, it's incredible. I don't think I've talked to my friends that have had hits like this, which, by the way, this is the biggest song we've ever had in the podcast in 3 years.
Oh, cool.
In terms of chart success and Grammys and whatnot. And we've had some pretty darn big songs on here. So congratulations.
Thank you. I mean, that's an honor. I love this podcast and I love the way you kind of really thoughtfully dig into stuff, and like, even as far as like from ear to ear, what's happening. And, I just think that's so, because I think about songwriting in the same way and production. And I just think like, why this word, why this choice? Because there's an infinitely forking path of where you can take anything, as you know, as a
Yes.
songwriter. And the way that these decisions get made to be this final thing is always so fascinating to me. So I love hearing you dissect these songs.
Oh man, well thank you. Well let's dissect. Let's get nerdy, all right?
All right.
All right, the track's 4 minutes and 10 seconds. We Are Young. There's that 4-bar tom drum intro before we get into verse 1. And I know Chris is going to play that sample here pretty soon because you sent it to us, and here it is.
That wasn't the sample that we ended up using on the recording. It was just some weird kind of happy accident that came out of that original demo that, Jeff recreated with samples from, I think that sample came from Plain Pat. And basically Jeff was like, this is how the song has to start. It has to start with the toms. And he was like, well, as soon as you hear those toms, you know what song it is. You're going to know it's going to be this introduction to the song that in the club, at a show, you're going to hear that and you're going to know. And he was like, when people hear the toms, they're going to get up. And so he, jumped out of his chair. And Jeff did that a lot during the recording process. He would get up and he would, pretend to flick a lighter or whatever. And Jeff was just always like, this is how people are going to react to this part, to this thing. And so that was kind of this is the first song we worked on with Jeff. And so that was my introduction to him, was his very physical, visceral reactions to things and how he wanted things to hit the ear and to hit the audience. And it was just so cool to me to think I've never really thought about that. I've only really thought about what sounds cool to me, and not really how on the radio, if you flip to this, you hear, it was just really cool to hear him break it down in that way.
Yeah, some of these producers are like mad scientists. They get in there, it's almost like they're poor man's psychiatrists. I've said that before, and something's hitting this guy, but what a great energy in the studio to have the producer jumping up going, this is how it makes me feel, and it's going to make other people feel this way. And you're like, what's he talking about?
Yeah. Just to feel that contagious energy and to try to translate that to the track. It was just fantastic.
Give me a second, I need to get my story straight. My friends are in the bathroom getting higher than the Empire State. My lover, she is waiting for me just across the bar. My seat's been taken by some sunglasses, asking about a scar. And I know I gave it to you months ago. I know you're trying to forget, but between the drinks and subtle things, the holes in my apologies, I'm trying hard to take it back. So if
Give me a second. I need to get my story straight. My friends are in the bathroom getting higher than the Empire State. My lover, she's waiting for me just across the bar. My seat's been taken by some sunglasses asking about a scar. And I know I gave it to you months ago. I know you're trying to forget. But between the drinks and subtle things, the holes in my apologies, I'm trying hard to take it back.
That's Nate's lyrics, and it's kind of classic Nate Roos to me in terms of it's got a little bit of kind of wit. It's got a little bit of bite to it. Seat's been taken by some sunglasses. That to me is kind of a dig. And it's also a synecdoche, which I really always like. We get a lot of grief for the scar lyric about, is this song about domestic violence or something? And always have to say, no, it's, it's metaphorical. It's an emotional thing. It's whatever. And yeah, generally, I just like to think of when you open a song, you're really setting the scene, and you're really
right.
You're really giving people a world. And Pat Pattison says it's like a bag of dye that then drips down over the rest of the lyrics, which I always think is really cool. You just are shading every word that's going to come after it with this opening scene that you set. So we're in a bar, we're on the seats, there's an empty seat. It's putting you in a place, which I've always really appreciated.
I love it. I love the delivery. And it's so, like I said, this is like an 11-minute song that you guys somehow shrunk down and made a pop song out of, but this part never repeats. This delivery never repeats again. You don't even get it in the second verse. It's a different feel. And that's really interesting for a 4-minute pop song that is this popular. This is like, this first verse to me is like an intro. It's setting up the story, the song. I remember the first time I heard it, I was hooked by the third line. My friends are in the bathroom getting higher than the Empire State. It's like, well, who can't relate to that? How many bars you've been to that you've seen that, or
Sure.
you've been a part of, and the sunglasses, never even thought about a lyric like the scar, but as big as this song got, that's going to be exponential people having their eyes on it and giving you that fan mail and that feedback.
Yeah. It was interesting to have to kind of consider after the fact, like, oh, I didn't really think that might go over that way, and like, is that harmful? Is that going to be a problem? Is that too intense? Is it triggering? I don't know. Because we were just kind of thinking like, it's a good lyric. It works.
Well, there's a lot of information going on here. And again, I think it's about Nate's delivery with it that gets you in that headspace to want to listen to this. There's times when someone's just barking lyrics, be it, it could be all kinds of different music where, there's keywords and things in there that aren't roping you in. And I feel that you get roped in here. Right off the top on verse 1, the piano joins the drums here, playing single chords on bars 1, 3, 5, 7, and 8. And then halfway through, around I Know I Gave It to You Months Ago, that marching band snare comes in. The piano gets busier and playful there. So how this song builds is awesome. Those snares aren't really predominant there. They're there, but you're still feeling and hearing that tom part.
Yeah. I mean, it opens up little by little, I think. And I always like when a piano, the chords start to break and arpeggiate, and it just makes things move a little differently. And then you get that rolling snare that makes things kind of move a little differently. And I guess I always think about this song in terms of the shutdown at the pre-chorus into the chorus, but now that you're mentioning it, it really does kind of unfold piece by piece in that way, and it grows a little bit throughout.
It does. And I'm assuming you played the piano on this whole track. Was that all you?
I did, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so do you recall, because what you do here is perfect, the piano, was it, kind of off the cuff, you do a couple passes, or did you have something, are you the kind of guy that goes in, the idea's completely worked out?
It varies. This one was worked out, but in that original demo, it was totally different. I wanted to do some like upbeats, like, and so I was even going to try to do that into the recording, and then Jeff was like, no, don't do that. And so, so just breaking up the chords. And so, and it's a grand piano as well as Nord, just the stock kind of piano sound on a Nord together, just to give it a little bit, kind of the warmth and richness of a grand, but also kind of the point and like plinky plunky sound that the Nord piano has, which I think you hear more in the chorus when it kind of, it just thickens so much. But I just wanted to tell a story with each instrument, I think, too, in addition to the vocals.
Great. And something I did mention at the top, that tom part, the more I listen to it, it's almost rock, that part. And I'm going to say that's the first part of the song. We're going through different, whatever you want to call them, chapters or segments of the song. But you get that drum intro. It almost reminds me of, I don't know if you ever heard the song Everybody Wants Some by Van Halen. It was off their third record. Yeah. And it starts with this tom thing. So you get this rock thing, but then you go into this verse. The delivery's different, where the piano comes in. And now we're getting to a completely another passage in the song to me, which I'm calling the pre-chorus. I guess you would agree the next part is that?
I would. I don't know that it's a traditional pre-chorus in that, like, to bring it back to Van Halen, one of my all-time favorite pre-choruses in Dance the Night Away. Ooh, baby, baby. Ooh, baby, baby. Won't you turn your head my way? Like that to me is a classic pre-chorus.
Oh, yeah.
Whereas this is more of a emptying out or a clearing of clear the mechanism kind of a thing. But yes, I would call it the pre-chorus.
Take it back. So if by the time the bar closes and you feel like falling down, I'll carry you home tonight.
So if by the time the bar closes and you feel like falling down, I'll carry you home. And it breaks down to a single piano chords here and a vocal. It just kind of draws you in from what happened in the verse. You know, it's just down to the piano. It gets very personal there. And there's really no count. I tried counting it different ways to when the chorus hits you. And it's jarring, but it's perfect. Does that make sense?
It does.
It's jarring. It's jarring, but perfect.
It's the hey, smoke weed every day syndrome where you're just like you can't count it. You can try. You're never gonna get it.
Hope you're ready for the next episode. Hey, smoke weed every day.
That's exactly it. And then you're in a completely different world. At 50 seconds, we hit chorus 1.
You home tonight. We are young, so let's set the world on fire. We can burn brighter than the sun tonight. We are young, so let's set the world on fire. We can burn brighter than the sun. No, I know that.
And then you got that. I believe you called it a moog. I've always called it a moog. Did you say moog earlier?
I mix it up. I did say moog, okay, but I also say moog. It depends on if you had said it first, I would have followed suit. I don't really know what it is.
Oh, okay. Tomato.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Well, I'm gonna call it a moog.
Okay,
But
cool.
man, you can really hear that 50s progression here. It's the Happy Days progression. It's the theme song for that show. These days are ours, happy and free.
These days are ours. Share them with me. Goodbye, gray sky.
Which you guys have covered, right?
Yes, we have. It's the old Blue Moon, the old
yes,
it's this
totally.
50s standards. But I hear that progression here. I absolutely love it. Again, it's not some detuned, downtuned thing. Not saying that couldn't have worked for many million great songs, but just love that it sounds old, but it sounds fresh and new here. The drums get blown out. We were talking about that here, particularly the snare. Piano is playing a staccato part along with the low growl of the Moog synth running throughout. And is that an electric bass or synth bass?
There is an electric bass in addition to the Moog. So the Moog is laying these
Okay.
like long low tones, which allowed Jack played the bass, and it let him be a little more percussive with the bass guitar to ding, ding, ding. He could dig in a little bit, and we weren't as reliant on that supplying the low end. It could be a little more of the grit and of the like movement because the bass is taken care of. So that was kind of a new idea to us. We're like, oh, we don't have to fill the bass out with the bass guitar. It's already there. The bass guitar can do something else.
That is so cool. I love the tone of the bass. The low end is perfect where it sits with the vocal. It's awesome. The lyric is, tonight, we are young. So let's set the world on fire. We can burn brighter than the sun. And it repeats, tonight, we are young. So let's set the world on fire. We can burn brighter than the sun. On the second time on Then the Sun, we get the first harmonies in the song. And Andrew, the vocals here sound maybe even tripled. They're definitely doubled. Do you recall?
I do. The main lead, that's 8 actually.
Okay.
which again was a new technique to me. I think I had only ever doubled anything in the studio, which I always love, from the time I like had a little 4-track recorder in my bedroom in high school, goofing around and thinking like, I think I thought that I had like invented that technique. And then hearing it with like, oh, everybody does that. Elliott Smith has been doing that for years, and so has everyone since the history of multi-track recording. But Jeff was like, more, let's do more and more and more, and it ended up being 8 of Nate singing The harmonies are multi-tracked as well, not to that degree, but there are 8 leads there.
Unreal. It's masterfully done because I can't hear that many. I thought like 3 maybe. The way that's layered and the way that it's mixed, it doesn't sound like it's overdone, but what a great sound, though. It's super, super full, and it distinguishes between the verses or the pre-chorus that happens before it for sure. This whole part is just like another song that comes on. I think that's what I love about this track so much is it feels like different songs at points that come together. A lot of times when you do a mishmash like that, it doesn't work out. In this case, it's great. Chorus 1 here, they're all double choruses. Was there any talk of like saving it? Like, let's only do a half chorus the first time.
We may have played around with that a little bit, but I think it just never felt right. It just was always like, that's too short. We need to do that again.
Yeah, because you're in, again, it's a completely different world. It's almost like you got to stay in that world for a little bit more than one time through. Again, the last line, "Than the sun," we get the first harmonies there. Do you remember if there was any talk of harmonies anywhere else? Because there certainly could have been here.
I think that's, again, Jeff with his kind of infinite wisdom, knowing like when is it time to do more and when is it time to stop yourself from doing more. And that was a big lesson for me from our first album, Aim and Ignite, into Some Nights, was like, if you go back and listen to Aim and Ignite, there's like a lot going on. There's very kind of colorful arrangements that are probably a little too ostentatious at times. And with Some Nights, we wanted to pare that back a little bit to kind of the essentials. What is a song? Let's just stay, for the most part, in a groove. Although we're talking about how We Are Young doesn't do that. But in general, let's not just saturate everything every second. And so when those harmonies come in, sun, it feels a bit like clouds are breaking and the sun is shining through, or that was kind of the hope anyway. So that just open things up a bit before you close it again and go into the second verse.
This is it, boys. This is war. What are we waiting for? Why don't we break the...
Hey everybody, don't go anywhere. We got lots more with Andrew Dost coming right up after a few words from our sponsors.
Looking to elevate your music career? DistroKid is a digital music distribution service that enables musicians to distribute their music to online stores and streaming platforms such as Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube Music, Amazon, Tidal, and many more. DistroKid collects earnings and payments, sending them to you, the artist. With DistroKid, artists unlock a world of possibilities. From easily paying collaborators with splits to securing your music with DistroLock, DistroKid covers all bases. Plus, you can promote your releases with Hyperfollow and create eye-catching visuals with the Spotify Canvas generator, all for free. But that's not all. Introducing the DistroKid app, now available on iOS and Android. Artists can manage their releases, view streaming stats, and withdraw earnings, all from the palm of their hand. And for those looking to perfect their sound, check out Mixia. With its simple interface and customizable mastering options, artists can make their music sound polished and professional within minutes. And don't forget about Instant Share, DistroKid's newest feature. Share large files securely with collaborators, producers, and more, ensuring your music streams at the highest quality. Ready to take your music to the next level? Download the DistroKid app and explore their suite of tools today. Plus, listeners can enjoy 30% off their first year by visiting distrokid.com/VIP/DeMakes. That's distrokid.com/VIP/DeMakes.
United Healthcare nurse Crystal checked in on a patient.
We do a routine call after surgery, and I could tell in her voice that she was struggling.
Crystal knew she needed help.
And I knew that this is very serious. This is like septic. This is life-threatening.
And she knew just what to do.
And I called the hospital and said, she's coming in. Here are her labs.
And got her the help she needed.
I see my role at United Healthcare as a life-saving role.
Hear more stories like Crystal's at UHC.com. Benefits, features, and/or devices vary by plan area. Limitation and exclusions apply.
Your burger is served, and this is our finest Pepsi Zero Sugar. Its sweet profile perfectly balances the savory notes of your burger.
That is one perfect combination. Burgers deserve Pepsi.
Introducing the Fanatics Game Day Guarantee. Every single game day from now until October, if your football bet loses, you'll earn up to $100 back in fan cash. you're either winning or winning money back in fan cash. Guaranteed. Switch to Fanatics Sportsbook. Winning hits different here. Must be 21 plus. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. CT? Call 888-789-7777. MA? Call 800-327-5050. NY? Call 877-8-HOPE-NY. MD? Visit mdgamblinghelp.org. Offer not available in all states. Terms apply. See Fanatics Sportsbook app.
Starting a business can seem like a daunting task, unless you have a partner like Shopify. They have the tools you need to start and grow your business. From designing a website to marketing to selling and beyond, Shopify can help with everything you need. There's a reason millions of companies like Mattel, Heinz, and Allbirds continue to trust and use them. With Shopify on your side, turn your big business idea into... Sign up for your $1 per month trial at shopify.com/special offer.
At Blinds.com, it's not just about window treatments. It's about you, your style, your space, your way. Whether you DIY or want the pros to handle it all, you'll have the confidence of knowing it's done right. From free expert design help to our 100% satisfaction guarantee, everything we do is made to fit your life and your windows. Because at Blinds.com, the only thing we treat better than windows is you. Visit Blinds.com now for up to 40% off site-wide, plus a professional measure at no cost. Rules and restrictions apply.
Hey, it's Chris DeMakes, a podcast producer, Chris Fafalius. Will you do me a favor real quick? Go to Apple Podcasts or Spotify or wherever you listen to podcasts and subscribe to One Hit Thunder. It's the show that I host with my good buddy Matt Kelly, where we have guests from the world of music and comedy and art, and together we dive deep into a band or artist that people consider a one-hit wonder and decide if they brought the thunder or were just a blunder. You'll laugh, you'll learn, maybe you'll get mad at us. Who knows? We have an enormous back catalog that includes episodes about Eagle Eye Cherry, Stacy Q, Looking Glass, The Weather Girls, Tag Team, Four Non-Blondes, Martika, Krayshawn, Sixpence None the Richer. I could go on and on, but how about you just subscribe to One Hit Thunder wherever you get your pods and experience the fun for yourself. And now, back to the show.
Who all sang on the track?
Me and Jeff did the harmonies, in addition to, of course, Nate on leads. I don't believe Jack
Unreal.
sang. And then, of course, Janelle Monáe doing the bridge, which I'm sure we'll get to in a second here.
Right, absolutely. So, yeah, I was wondering who all did the vocals. Obviously, I knew Nate did his thing. But we get into verse 2, and right at the start of it, there's this huge breath inhale. And for those listening... You know, a lot of times I'll hear my breath in songs and I'll go in and chop it out. And you can do that sometimes and get away with it. But a lot of times you want to hear those breaths and those emotions. One of the first people I could think was Michael Jackson. You know, his whole thing, how he breathed. They left all those in because, I don't know, it just felt like you were closer to the singer. It just gave it that personal feeling. But starts off with a huge breath inhale here.
No, I know that I'm not all that you got. I guess that I just thought maybe we could find new ways to fall apart. But our friends are back, so let's raise a toast. 'Cause I found someone to carry me home.
Now I know that I'm not all that you got. I guess that I just thought maybe we could find new ways to fall apart. But our friends are back up, so let's raise a cup, because I found someone to carry me home. Double unison vocals, at least on this verse, that carries over here. Do you recall how many were here?
Probably just 2 or 3. Because you're talking about because I found someone to carry me home, like that part that kind of feels a little more exposed.
Well, yeah, there's other lines within here, and I'll tell you something else. I always talk about them, the hooks within songs. The little hiccup, the little falsetto hook on the word just thought on that line.
Yeah, it skips up a little bit.
I guess that I just thought maybe we could find new ways.
Yeah, I mean, that's, I think, a testament to Nate's skill as a lead singer, how he just knows when to pick those little moments to give it a little something extra. I always like that part.
I'll hear pop singers do that, like Taylor Swift, and it's almost like so sugar and sacchary cutesy, but like you can't imagine the song without it. It's just those little nuances that just kind of give it, you know. And I've done that before. I've had accidents with my voice where I'm like, we got to redo that. The producer's like, that was cool.
Yeah, it gives it a unique thing. And like I've always loved the Cranberries and like Dolores O'Riordan's skip that her voice kind of did at the end of things.
Yeah.
It's so cool. But yeah, the second verse, I always think of the second verse as being like a rule-breaking verse. Like you establish the rules in the first verse, you give the kind of foundations of what, you know, the parameters are, the rule book of the song, and then in the second verse, you either subvert that or you reinforce it generally. And so one of the songs that I think does this really beautifully is All My Best Friends Are Metalheads. How there's a guitar line that comes in, and from the first time I heard that, I was like, it blew my mind in terms of what the second verse can do.
But you think it's strange that there's a way with how you look and how you act and how you think. Pretend they're not the same as you. And do you know about it?
So in a lot of our songs, I always try to do that. All the Pretty Girls off the first album introduces a second set of, you know, vocals that come in and they act as a counter melody.
I call you out, baby, just to feel a little bit better about myself. He does. I do. You do, baby. I do. I do. Until their lips stop to move and the friends talk music. I say I never heard the tune, but I have. I just hate the band 'cause they remind me of you.
Yeah, the second verse, break the rules.
Well, for sure. And, you know, I talked about there's a couple vocals here. It sounds like one vocal almost sounds way pushed back, like it's an octave up, almost like a falsetto. Do you recall that happening there? I'm hearing that like buried deep.
I think that is happening. I believe that maybe Nate doubled and then sang it staccato. Probably that. We also messed around with pitch a lot during the recordings. A lot of octaves down, a lot of octaves up, a lot of vocoder. But I don't believe we pitch shifted that. I think that's actually just Nate singing in falsetto and then, you know, low in the mix.
Along with that, we hear the drums, bass, and I'm hearing that moog. They're all in here. Halfway through, maybe we could find new ways to fall apart. Panned off left, there's like this dun 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 dun. It's like a same note keyboard thing that happens.
I just thought maybe we could find new ways to fall apart, but our friends are back.
I know there's some French horns there doing something like that. Yes. Bump, 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 bump. I'm doing that also on the piano. Yes. Okay.
Again, and it sounds like, I don't know, it's almost like, where'd the marching band come from? But it's so subtle. It's not like in your face, like, you know, a band with horns like my band or Chicago or something. It's there, but it's just the way this song was textured. And I keep harking back to what I read about Jeff, and I don't know if this is true or not, but I mentioned earlier that he slaved over this mix. He just couldn't stop, obsessing about it, and I can see why, because of the way everything's layered here. It's just done beautifully.
Yeah, he worked very hard on that. Listened to it in his car, take it back, tweak something, go back to the car, go back to the big speakers in the studio, the NS10s in the studio, just all different formats, all different situations, all different spaces. He went very deep on it for sure. And I'm a sucker for horns. I grew up playing trumpet, and so we use them, Fun used them maybe a little, not excessively, but like I thought that was kind of a secret weapon that we had, was the ability to add a little texture in this kind of way.
Well, out of verse 2, we go into chorus 2, another double chorus, same lyrics again. We get that harmony at the end with Then the Sun. The Moog synth is a bit louder here. It sounds like it's louder in the mix and also changes some notes. It's more playful here. We also get those marching band snare pick-me-ups here mixed in with the drum track. It's subtle, but it's killer.
Man, your ears are wild. The way you pick up all this stuff is crazy to me.
Well, I'm going to tell you, to be fair, you guys stumped me in the next part. Okay.
Oh, good.
I'm going
okay.
to give the Cliffs. I'm going to give the Cliffs notes to the listeners on the bridge, because this thing is just out of this world. It's next level.
There's a lot going on there. In that chorus, the Moog does get a little more playful because, again, you can kind of break the rules that you've established in the first chorus. You can have a little more fun, and I don't believe there's any copying and pasting. We maybe did some of the vocals in the chorus, or I don't think the vocals are just flown in from chorus to chorus. I think Nate just did all of those again. I'm pretty sure.
I listened for that. I mean, this would be the perfect type of song to copy and paste, choruses at least, but
sure.
I couldn't hear it. If they are there, I couldn't pick them out. It sounds like they're different performances, which I appreciate. I think there's something natural. And I think people can feel that.
I think so. I think you can really homogenize a song very quickly when you're just like, oh, here's that literally again. It adds a little life, even if somebody doesn't know it's necessarily happening. It just gives a slightly different, feel and bit of life. And again, I think that's a testament to like Nate's skill as a singer, that he can match his own voice so precisely. And then Jeff to know that like, okay, we need to create a very distinct world here from second to second, and not take any real shortcuts.
Yeah. Out of chorus 2, we go right into this bridge. Carry Me Home Tonight. And after each line, there's na 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 that happens. I'm not going to read all of those, but Carry Me Home Tonight with the na na nas. Just carry me home tonight. Carry me home tonight. Just carry me home tonight. The moon is on my side. I have no reason to run. So will someone come and carry me home tonight? The angels never arrived, but I can hear the choir. So will someone come and carry me home?
We worked hard on those lyrics. We couldn't really, there were a couple lines, like the Angels line came later, and in general, the radio edit was quite a bit shorter than that, but on the full version, we really like kind of wanted to stretch out a little bit and really make it, I guess kind of an epic, and to, bring in these themes of, I guess like the afterlife or whatever it is. We wanted it to feel big and grand, and also personal, I guess. But to almost, see the clouds parting, see the angels, hear the choir, all that stuff. We wanted it to feel very large and very kind of timeless, or almost, I don't know. I guess I always think of things in terms of like a cathedral or something. Like, what would this sound like in a cathedral? And that part was kind of inspired by that sort of feel.
Yeah, there's something, I don't know what the word is. There is something uplifting and spiritual, churchy about this part. But I feel like the lyric is almost like a call for help, which is that's what I love so much about music, is like there's this call for help. You got this spiritual thing happening here, but it's a pop song. There's all these like different things here. I called it the kitchen sink part of the song. It's the busiest part here. There's just everything that you could possibly imagine. It's the biggest part of the song. We get those nanas panned off right and left. On the right, that sounds like Janelle Monáe. Is that correct? Would she be over on the right?
I can't remember where we put her lead. I don't think she did any of the backing vocals. I believe she only did the "Carry Me Home Tonight." I think that was all she did. But I remember playing a lot with the panning of the nanas. And then at one point I did these like woo things, which I was as immediately after I did those, I was like, we have to lose those. That is not working. But everybody was like, no, it's working. Like, let's leave it in. And so like, there it is.
I'm so glad you said that, because I'm trying to figure out how this part worked. Okay, you got the na-na-nas, to me, they're pan right. You got some more na-na-nas pan left. You got the lead vocal that's coming in and out. There's harmonies happening. But then, again, there's so much going on. Usually I'd be able to break it down line by line of what happens. I can't distinguish. And when you start doing that woo-woo part, which I hear predominantly pan left, it shouldn't work, but it does. So that's what you're saying. You go, this doesn't work with everything because there's too much here. And then your bandmates are going, no, it's genius, which it is. It's awesome.
Well, that's very kind. I think it's just one of those things where when you're writing a song, and anybody who has written a song, I think knows this, like when you have an idea, of how things are going to fit in your head. And then when you do it out loud, it maybe works and it maybe doesn't. And sometimes, like for me, it's like, oh, wait, that melody actually overlaps with itself in a way that fights and doesn't work. Or sometimes it's really cool. But generally for me, I'm like, I have to hear it in the room to know if it's a good idea or not. Because in my head, it might just not, might not connect in the world. And that was one where I thought it didn't connect. But fortunately, everybody else, I guess thought it did.
No, I was trying again to discern where everything was in this, and there's just so much going on. I did my best. Talked about the nanas a second ago. There's that woo-oo thing you're talking about that's happening here too, and there's a less busy marching band snare here, which by slowing it down and not having it be as busy, I think it makes this part sound heavier. It's not as urgent in moving because there's so much happening here. I think if that snare was still going fast, it's kind of pulled back. It's different from the other snares in the song. And then at the last line here, it just builds to this amazing crescendo to go back down into the chorus, which again, that part on paper, it looks like it shouldn't work.
Sure. Yeah. And part of that too, what's happening there is Jeff was playing a Juno synthesizer and messing with like the cutoff to, and then so that kind of helps, like gives it this like extra lift, and you can't even really hear it, but you can feel it, which kind of has become a part of the way I produce songs and write songs now, is like, I don't care what I can hear. All I care is what I can feel. And so that was a perfect example of that learning process of like, that has to be there. It gives us this body and this foundation and this like transitional beat that we're gonna not really notice, but it'll help.
Gotcha. Well, chorus 3 comes right out of that bridge. I hate using the word jarring. It almost sounds like I'm knocking the song, but it just, it doesn't sound like it should work. It does though. It comes right back down. Chorus 3. We get the same lyrics again. And what else could you have said here? And that's my next question. Was there ever any other lyrics, or, hey, it's the third chorus, we got to rally here and put an extra line in or change things up?
No. It was always just like, we're going to make a pop song. We're going to go for it. We're going to throw in everything but the kitchen sink, like you said, and we're going to repeat that chorus again. But it's funny. One thing that I did want to mention about the chorus is that it started a little bit as a sort of cynical lyric, and it kind of became like a party lyric, a youth lyric. But it started a bit as like, we're burning through fossil fuels, we're just destroying the planet. Screw it, let's set the world on fire. We might as well, because tonight we're young, so let's, whatever, we'll just burn brighter and kind of burn ourselves out as a human race. And so it ended up being like not the tack we took as we were kind of finishing it and interpreting it. But that was kind of where the lyrics started. Oh, man. Thank you for sharing that. That's so cool, because I've heard that before with songs. They start out as something, and, thank goodness for it that you had that initial idea, because it wouldn't have maybe spawned what it ended up being. Yeah. And I think like we liked it better. I think, we've all written enough kind of cynical songs in our lives that like it felt kind of good to just be like, yeah, we're young, we're vibrant, we're youthful. I'm hip, I'm edgy. But
yeah, by 2012, I would have had a hard time singing that song. Youthful and edgy. Yeah.
Yeah, when we were not hip or edgy at the time. We were firmly in our 30s and very tired at all times.
Not looking any worse for the wear yet. Well,
right.
Chorus 3 here, it breaks down on chorus 3. We lose the growly moog. It's very spacious and atmospheric here. I can hear those delays and those reverbs. I love the first half of this. We can burn brighter than the sun. The organ swells into the second half of chorus 3, just comes right up. The moog is back in, as is the staccato piano. And we get that wonderful harmony on Then the Sun, the last line, before we get into the next part, which, we had talked about, were there any other lyrics for the chorus or any other information? You don't need it because you get it in what I'm calling the coda at the end of this song.
Sure.
And man, what a way to tie up a song. It's just like Goosebumps Central when I listen to this part. It is so good.
So if by the time the bar closes and you feel like falling down, I'll carry you home tonight.
So if by the time the bar closes and you feel like falling down, I'll carry you home tonight. There's just 8 piano chords and an in-your-face personal vocal. It's so awesome. It's such a great way to end a song.
Yeah, I like that a lot about it. We go so big with all of the sounds, every instrument at our disposal, essentially, and then shut it right down for the end. Make it more personal. I think something, I don't know if this was an intentional thought as we were doing it or not, but I always feel like through all the different shows that I've played in all these different bands, and as much chatter as there's been in the crowd and people aren't paying attention or whatever, kind of the quieter you get, the more you can draw people in rather than trying to like overpower them and blast them out. Like sometimes that's what draws you a little bit more. So I always like that about the end, how it kind of like forces you to kind of like lean in a little bit.
Crazy hypothetical question I've never asked anybody in over 3 years of this show. Does the song become the massive hit it is if the coda's not there?
Ooh, that's a great question. I think about this with every part of my life, actually, every facet. Like, what happens if, like, I was in a car accident? Like, what happens if, like, an inch to the left and, whatever? I don't know. I think the code is important. I think you need a little bit more, not that it's, like, the most unique thing or anything, but I do think that it's just those little flavors that add so much to the dish that where you're just like, yeah, it just helps. It just gives us a little taste of something.
Just my opinion. I mean, the chorus is just too undeniable, but man, that coda, what an awesome way to end the song. And before we break, first of all, thank you for your time. It's one of those things you guys aren't, I guess Fun's not active currently. So, a lot of guys don't want to get on here and talk about a song maybe with the band's not active. I really appreciate you talking about this one. It's such a special song.
Oh, thanks so much. Thanks for having me. I mean, my pleasure. I love music so much, and I think about it all the time. And I was teaching songwriting.
I can tell.
And I mean, and vice versa. Like I can tell that you like deeply dig into this stuff, and that shows in your writing as well. That like you know what you're doing, And so to get to talk about this stuff and kind of nerd out is really a lot of fun.
That's great. Well, before we break, what do you got coming up? Solo stuff. I know you got a new record in the can. Let's rap about it.
Yeah. So I started a new project called Metal Bubble Trio, and I have an album done called Cucumber that I just got the masters finalized. All the files that I don't even know what to do with them yet. I just have them now. Cucumber is finished. I'm going to release it soon. I'm going over today with my friend Tommy to work on some artwork for it. And I'm just very excited. It's taken me a long time to get back into writing songs that I feel really safe sharing. And it feels good to have kind of a body of work that's ready to rip.
If you can give the listeners a 1 or 2 sentence pitch on the sound of this project.
The intent was to make a bossa nova album. I got really into bossa nova. A bossa nova album that what would it sound like if like Frank Ocean and Gorillaz were back in time making a bossa nova album with like, Jobim and Stan Getz and, Gilberto or whatever. Like what would Gorillaz, Frank Ocean, and traditional bossa nova sound like? So that was kind of what spawned some of the curiosity there.
That is awesome. Well, hey, where can people find you online?
At Andrew Dost on Instagram, at Metal Bubble Trio on Instagram, and that's it. That's about it. My website's down. I can't figure out websites for the life of me.
Yeah, your website's Instagram now. Perfect.
Right, exactly, yeah. By the time this airs, it'll be up, though. AndrewDost.com, MetalBubbleTrio.com.
Right on, Andrew. Thank you so much, bud.
Yeah, thank you, man. Really a pleasure.
Start to begin and then stop at the end. Just let go of control. It is a universal theme. Blow it all up and then blame someone else. It's all wrong. Sing along. It is a universal theme. Well, you could write a book, or you could write an essay. You could have a teacher, or you could learn the hard way. But in the end, it hits you like a sound wave. Love is the only constant thing, baby. Make a mistake.
The song you're hearing is Universal Themes from Metal Bubble Trio's soon-to-be-released album Cucumber. In preparation for this episode, Andrew sent me Cucumber, and it's so good. And you know how you can tell it's so good? Cucumbers are my least favorite food, and I've still listened to the album called Cucumber every single day since he sent it. Go follow Metal Bubble Trio on Instagram, and don't go anywhere. There's lots more Chris DeMakes a Podcast coming right up after a few words from our sponsors.
Let's play Burlington's Guess That Price. Back to school means back to saving. We're bringing you kids' jeans starting at, hold on a minute, just $11.99. Burlington's acing this test. What about character backpacks? We've got them starting at $12.99. Burlington's done it again. How about sneakers for the kids? A-plus brands and right on trend starting at $11.99. Saving is now in session. Burlington, deals, brands, wow! Styles and selections vary by location.
This episode is brought to you by State Farm. Checking off the boxes on your to-do list is a great feeling. And when it comes to checking off coverage, a State Farm agent can help you choose an option that's right for you. Whether you prefer talking in person, on the phone, or using the award-winning app, it's nice knowing you have help finding coverage that best fits your needs. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Prime delivery is fast. How fast are we talking? We're talking puzzle toys and LickPad delivered so fast you can get this puppy under control fast. We're talking chew toys at your door without really waiting fast. Key pads, cooling mat, and peg hammer fast and fast. And there's training TREATS faster than you can say sit fast. And now we can all relax and order these matching hoodies to get cozy and cute fast. Fast, free delivery. It's on Prime.
Lowe's knows that no matter your paint project, saving is at the top of your list. That's why when you shop today, you can buy one, get one free select Valspar and HGTV Home by Sherwin-Williams one-coat coverage interior paints via rebate. Shop these deals in-store or online today at Lowe's. We help, you save. Selection varies by location while supplies last. Discount taken at time of purchase. See sales associate for details. Offer valid 8/21 through 9/3.
Go further with the American Express Business Gold Card. Earn 3 times membership rewards points on flights and prepaid hotels when you book through AmexTravel.com. Whether your destination is a business conference or a client meeting, your purchases will help you earn more points for future trips. Experience more on your travels with Amex Business Gold. Terms apply. Learn more at americanexpress.com/business-gold. Amex Business Gold Card. Built for business by American Express.
Eczema isn't always obvious, but it's real. And so is the relief from Ebglyss. After an initial dosing phase, about 4 in 10 people taking Ebglyss achieved itch relief and clear or almost clear skin at 16 weeks. And most of those people maintain skin that's still more clear at 1 year with monthly dosing.
Ebglyss, lebrikizumab LBKZ, a 250 milligram per 2 milliliter injection, is a prescription medicine used to treat adults and children 12 years of age and older who weigh at least 88 pounds or 40 kilograms with moderate to severe eczema, also called atopic dermatitis, that is not well controlled with prescription therapies used on the skin or topicals, or who cannot use topical therapies. Ebglyss can be used with with or without topical corticosteroids. Don't use if you're allergic to Epglis. Allergic reactions can occur that can be severe. Eye problems can occur. Tell your doctor if you have new or worsening eye problems. You should not receive a live vaccine when treated with Epglis. Before starting Epglis, tell your doctor if you have a parasitic infection.
Searching for real relief? Ask your doctor about Epglis and visit epglis.lilly.com or call 1-800-LILY-RX or 1-800-545-5979.
Chris DeMakes a podcast producer, Chris Fafalius here. Do you enjoy music documentaries? I think I've watched every VH1 Behind the Music ever. Whether I was super familiar with the artist or not, I was always fascinated with the story. Well, that's what inspired me and my friends to create the Docu Podcast. I think I just invented that term. A band called Punchline, which, yeah, it's the story of the band that I've been in for like 70% of my life now. But we approach the story in a way that's relatable to anyone who's played in a band, or loved music, or experienced heartbreak, or struggled, or has just been on a Forrest Gump-like journey through life. I'm really proud of this pod, so if you're a Chris DeMakes a Podcast or a One Hit Thunder fan, I think you'll love it. You can subscribe to A Band Called Punchline for free wherever you get your podcasts. Check it out. It would mean the world to me, and I think you'll love it.
As we near the end of the show, here's a band you might not know.
Welcome to this week's Band You Might Not Know. If you'd like your band to be considered for Chris DeMakes a Podcast, all you have to do is email your best song via MP3 only and a short bio to bandyoumightnotknow@gmail.com. This week's featured artist is Humble Kings from the Pacific Northwest, a punk rock duo featuring Adrian Sendoya and Kevin Mackey. If you like super fast melodic punk rock with catchy harmonies, this is for you. Here's a snippet of their song, Zero Sum Game.
They want you to believe it's a zero-sum game, that we need their help and there's someone else to blame. That means who am I? I gotta take a piece of yours. It's time to evolve, scarcity to abundance.
The Wrap with Chris and Chris.
Chris, you know I was excited about this episode. I'm a big Andrew Dost guy. Love fun. Love everything this guy puts out. And on top of it, he's a super nice guy. And on top of that, as you brought up, this is the biggest song that we've ever had or ever broken down on the podcast. You brought up the YouTube plays, which... a billion. A billion is an insane number. That is, Chris, a billion is 1,000 million.
Yeah.
And that's just the tip of the iceberg. This song won the Grammy for Song of the Year in 2013. And on top of that, like, it spent 6 weeks at number one on the Billboard Hot 100. I mean, it's seriously one of the biggest songs like ever, kind of.
It is, and I absolutely love it. I don't hate it. You know, a lot of times songs get so big that you're just like, it's annoying, I don't want to hear it, or, you know, that's just kind of human nature. Not this track. I even told Andrew off recording, we rapped a little bit at the end of just, you know, how special this song is. You know, musicians are our whole lives. I mean, most of us, like, we could never imagine having a song that big, and not many people get to have a song that big, and he did. It's, you know, I think there's something to be said too. I didn't really mention it in the episode, Chris, that, you know, these were just three friends that came together. They put the first record out. There was really no pressure to do a follow-up because the first record didn't go through the roof. So they were just writing another batch of songs. And, you know, can't be stated enough what Jeff Basker, the producer, brought to the table.
Yeah, I think that was a big move on their part to work with Jeff. I mean, some of the other songs that Jeff has produced, for example, Chris, Locked Out of Heaven by Bruno Mars, incredible song. He co-produced Uptown Funk with Mark Ronson. He co-produced Find Your Love and Show Me a Good Time by Drake from Thank Me Later album. Like, the dude has produced massive songs, worked on a lot of hip hop. And I think the elements of those sorts of production lent themselves so magically to this song and this album, you know?
Absolutely. There's nothing to me. Yeah, you can pick out little things. Yeah, some Beach Boys and Queen or whatever, but these guys are their own animal, Chris. There's nothing that really sounds like fun. I remember when I first heard it, and of course, my ties to it were through Fueled by Ramen. As everyone knows, or most people know, I have a big history, and so does Less Than Jake with Fueled by Ramen. And a lot of my friends that were working there at the time are like, you got to hear this new Fun record. This thing's incredible. Adam was one of them. Adam Samilja. If you're listening to Adam, hello. He was just like, you got to hear this. Melissa over there, she was just like, this is next level. And they were right.
Yeah, they were. Hey, another interesting thing about, something that Jeff said, I love stories about producers who are very enthusiastic. I've worked with producers who are very enthusiastic before, and it just makes you more excited about the whole process. But he brought up about how as soon as you hear the toms, you're going to know what song it is. And it made me think of, like, when you hear the fill at the beginning of Smells Like Teen Spirit, you instantly know what that song is, well, you know what it is from the guitar or whatever too, but when you're talking about drums, that's so cool to be thinking about that. I never really think about that, but I mean, there's a billion different things you could be thinking about when you're writing a song, but thinking about from the listener's perspective that they're going to recognize this the second they hear it.
Yeah. And what a crazy arrangement. Again, that tom, that drum intro that we hear, that goes into the verse, which goes into what we were calling that pre-chorus, completely different parts. Then the chorus hits, completely different part. And that's really hard in a pop song. Again, I look at this song as like an 11-minute song that they somehow shrunk a rock opera down into 4 minutes, but did it just perfectly.
It's impressive, man. Hey, real quick, Chris, by the way, it is Moog. It's not Moog, it's Moog. I went on their website and they said it's Moog that rhymes with Vogue.
I've never heard anybody say Moog, and now I feel like kind of an idiot for correcting Andrew because I'm the chief idiot here. It's Moog. Who knew?
You're not an idiot. I've called it Moog forever too. I think most people have, actually. Some more things about this that I thought were really cool. Hey man, I gotta tell you, Andrew is a real deal, as you may have known when you're talking to him, a real deal huge Less Than Jake fan. Like that night, you and him called me from the bathroom at the Detroit show, like on FaceTime, and he like answered, and I'm like, who is that guy? He's like, hey Chris, Andrew Dost. I'm like, oh, what's up, man? And anyway, real deal Less Than Jake fan, and I loved that he cited Metalheads as an example where when he was talking about how you kind of establish the rules in the first verse, but the second verse is a chance to break those rules. I thought that was really cool that he cited Metalheads there.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm sure it came across, but to everybody listening, but what a nice guy. So humble. And he's a music nerd. He's like me. He loves diving into this kind of stuff. And I'll tell you something. One of the most un-rock and roll things I've ever heard is when he said they were hanging out eating Brussels sprouts. I've never heard a band say that. I like Brussels sprouts, but I thought that was odd.
Brussels sprouts are rock and roll now. You didn't know that? I've been rocking Brussels sprouts for a couple of years. They've moved to the top of my list of one of my favorite foods, man. People have been making them really rock and roll lately.
Andrew is so sweet. He said it just off the cuff like it's a normal thing. Yeah, we were in the studio hanging out having some Brussels sprouts. It's like,
I want to have some Brussels sprouts with Andrew Dost at some point. Hey, Chris, also, the kitchen sink bridge, the one thing I was thinking about is like, they threw the kitchen sink in so hard that they're like, let's throw in Janelle Monáe too. What the hell? Let's just go. Let's go as crazy as possible. Chris, you asked him, does the song become a massive hit even without the coda? And I thought really hard about that. And you know what I think? I do think it's an important part of the song. I do think it wraps it up perfectly and gives it a real emotional sort of ending. But I still think it's a hit without it. I think that chorus is too undeniable.
That's my feeling, and I said it, and I stand by it. Yeah, I still think it's a hit, but man, that coda is absolutely beautiful. Something else that's beautiful. You want to hear more of Chris and Chris? You can come join. Hey, listen, this is basically our Patreon. It's called Supporting Cast. It's the same thing as Patreon. It's our VIP program. You can go to chrisdemakes.com, and for the price of a cup of coffee or two a month, you can get bonus episodes of the After Party with Chris and I. And yeah, it's a lot of fun.
It's beautiful. It's a beautiful, beautiful VIP program. We put out gorgeous bonus episodes every week, and you get a luxurious back catalog of these beautiful episodes the second you sign up for the cost of what do we like to say? For a cost of a apple juice at the Cracker Barrel.
Apple juice at the Cracker Barrel, about $3.79. You can hear Chris and I yap at you some more. So yeah, get over to ChrisDeMakes.com and give Chris a follow on Instagram. Yeah. He loves feeling the love. Chris Fafalius on Instagram, and you can find me at Less Than Chris D. I'm still doing those custom songs, ChrisDeMakes at gmail.com. If you'd like info about my custom songs or jingles for you, that special someone, or your pizza restaurant, whatever, I'll write you a song, ChrisDeMakes at gmail.com. And want to thank this week's guest, one of the most humble, sweetest guys I've ran into in a long time, Mr. Andrew Dost, and we'll see you next week.
This episode is brought to you by FX's Alien Earth, the official podcast. Each week, host Adam Rogers is joined by guests, including the show's creator, cast, and crew, in this exclusive companion podcast. They will explore story elements, deep dive into character motivations, and offer an episode-by-episode behind-the-scenes breakdown of each terrifying chapter in this new series. Search FX's Alien Earth wherever you listen to podcasts.